All right, what's happening, everybody? It's me, your resident supervillain, Mr. J. Washington, here with the episode 6 review for WandaVision on Disney+. Now, if you have not seen this episode yet, come on back, because there will be spoilers. You know what's crazy about all this is we know for a fact this is one season and that's it. It's one giant movie chopped up and this is it, right? And I know some people are like, well, how do you know we're not getting a season 2? Because this show goes right into the Doctor Strange movie. There's no need for season 2. Like, Vision gonna be dead unless they're gonna completely do the Gray Vision. But I say all that to say I've been loving this. I'm one of those people now that stay up till midnight on the West Coast to see as soon as it drops. And I would have recorded this last night after midnight at about 1 o'clock in the morning. But then I was like, I don't feel like trying to set shit up and talking. And just, no. So I was like, here we go now. Y'all already know I'm not going bit by bit, but it feels like I should when I took these notes because they all play a certain part in the episode. Because, for instance, we finally see the Aaron Taylor Johnson Quicksilver in the previously on WandaVision. We've talked about him. We hadn't seen it. Of course, if you notice, Disney Plus is consistently recommending the Age of Ultron after each episode now, which is like dope. But it was interesting that he did that because now we have to show the new Pietro. And so we go into the casting. Also, you got to pay attention to the opening. It's a Malcolm in the Middle type opening. And normally, the lyrics of There Must Be Giants is, you're not the boss of me now, and you're not so big. You can use that to Vision talking to Wanda. But if you hear a lot of things they're saying, even though everything is all an illusion, day by day will go, listen to the lyrics of this opening theme song. It's telling you that Wanda is realizing more and more things aren't in control. And as the episode goes, it really starts to put a lot into question. We see it's a Halloween type episode. We see the boys, Pietro's on the couch sleeping. It's 4 in the afternoon. Like, hey man, did he just get really high? Or are they doing that his metabolism makes him sleep a lot? Because we know anybody that speaks to, because they sped up so much that they're tired. But also, her classic Sokovian costume, her classic costume from the comics is a Sokovian fortune teller, which is kind of dope. Vision's costume, he's like a luchador. It was funny because at first he says, this was the only thing in my closet. And then Wanda pauses like, shit, here we go. And then he's like, oh, he just jokes with her. But basically, Vision doesn't have any real clothes. He changes. And then Pietro puts on the old school Quicksilver costume, which, by the way, any comic book fans, you popped. Those of us who know the old, from the House of M series and everything else. When you saw that, you're like, oh my God. That's one of the things I do love about these Marvel shows, though, and movies. They've always done. There's always some nod to the classic iterations of costumes. There's always some reference to them, and there's always some reference to them, and we get it, and then it's like we don't really pay attention. We show the upgraded versions of what they've done, but in this one, because it was Halloween, it worked. And let me see. Oh yeah, we go back to one of the things when we talk. We're flipping back and forth between the TV show and real life, and when in S.W.O.R.D, you see the drone being brought back that still has the look of Wanda's hex powers on it. And you see Monica Rambeau and director Hayward getting to it. And Hayward told her, I wish you to stay gone because you don't understand. And Monica Rambeau say, don't use the last 5 years as an excuse to be a coward. We are seeing more and more of her becoming the leader that she is, that we will know her to be. We're also, this episode, I just like to say, shot down a lot of theories, but opened up a whole new can of worms at the same time. So what it did, for instance, a lot of people argued and debated that the reason Monica survived being thrown out of the hex was because she already had her abilities that were going to turn her into Photon. Right? She already survived. She already had her abilities. She knew she had it. She didn't understand it, which is why when the following episode, when she comes out and she's being tested by the doc, her X-rays and labs show a white light, the photon white light. So everybody thinks, oh, that's her powers. She knows she has them. Well, we're finding out thanks to later on in the episode via Darcy. Again, spoiler alert. It's Wanda causing her to have her abilities. because Darcy breaks in some records and sees Monica's blood results and was like, yo, it's changing you on a molecular level. The twice you've been through it. And so she's learning she's being changed. So she'll change again, and eventually either she'll fully have her powers by episode 9, or come Captain Marvel 2, the full transformation, a metamorphosis, if you will be done. We got the addressing of why is Pietro this Pietro and not the other Pietro. And he was like, I don't know. He said, she was like, why do you look different? And he was like, you tell me. He was like, I remember, getting shot out of nowhere for no reason. Everything went fuzzy. I basically heard you and I came. And then she says the best thing ever, kick ass. Now, for those who didn't catch it, because some people might not, until you saw it, and then you're like, oh shit, that's why. But I'm assuming everybody that's watching this pretty much knows what that is. Both Aaron Taylor Johnson and Evan Peters are in the movie Kick-Ass. Aaron Taylor Johnson plays Kick-Ass, and it was just so funny that when he became Quicksilver, Evan Peters became Quicksilver, and it was the whole Kick-Ass tie-in. We see Halloween happening in Westview, and one of the most important things you got to pay attention to that's happening with Halloween is there is an overabundance of children. There's not just a few kids. There are kids everywhere. Remember in the previous episode when Vision was questioning Wanda, he was like, why are there no children in Westview? He's like, why are there no kids? There's an overabundance of kids. Also, you got Pietro taking the kids out trick-or-treating and doing pranks on Halloween, stealing candy, smashing jack-o'-lanterns, putting silly string in, everything. And I like the way the speed now looks as opposed to what it did in Age of Ultron. Again, the time has passed, the evolution of the CGI and the visual effects all playing account to this, but it was really amazing to see that. And the world in itself is starting to unravel around Wanda as she's realizing she knows it. And again, I'll talk about this in a second, where who or what is an outside influence into this. But now, previous episode with Agnes, you want to take this from the top? Wanda's like, what? Boom. The resetting episode. Her doing patrol for the neighborhood watch during the trick-or-treating, and she says something, and he says something, and Wanda says something, and Herb says, do you want something changed? Again, the knowing that this is all under Wanda's control, what Wanda wants it to be. The commercial for this one was really interesting. The Yo Magic. Now, it's the snack for survivors. And it was claymation, which oh my God, I miss claymation so much. Claymation was so breakthrough in the 90s, 2000s when it came out. And so for them to use that, and a lot of people are confused on it as to, wait, I thought these were all applied to the Infinity Stones and things in her life. Where does Yo Magic apply to? Yo Magic. Survivors. You survived this. Even though you want it, you finally don't open it, things like that. So it's not a direct correlation. Again, all these commercials are points in time in Wanda's life, points in time that are significant. Again, Lagos, the whole situation that started the Sokovia, that came after the Sokovia Accords, I believe. The Hydro Soak, the Strucker Watch, the toaster. All these different things are parts of Wanda's life. Yo Magic. Things like that. The kids finally become who we knew they were going to be, for those of us that follow the comics. Tommy gets his abilities, and he's speed. And, one of the things too is, we've noticed that this show is in its transition, has gone through decades. Right? We started out in the 50s, and we went to the 60s, the 70s, then we ended up in the 80s, and now we're in the 2000s, because in the theater, The Incredibles was playing, and the Malcolm in the Middle, and so, which again is the beginning of the episode, the Malcolm in the Middle theme, and so people have been confused about, wait, why do we jump time? But the fact that Tommy has his speed, and so we're like, oh shit, it's only a matter of time before Billy gets his abilities, which are similar to his mom's. Um, you see, I love again the juxtaposition of we're watching the WandaVision show, and S.W.O.R.D is like watching it, but now like, yo, we got to stop the show. You got Director Hayward is basically like, I need to kill her. I need to kill Wanda. And again, earlier, you have Monica like, do we even know we can kill her? Do we even know what will happen to the Hex, the people inside of it, those of us outside of it, if we kill her? Which again, we'll see. But you see that the people on the edge of town aren't moving. They're just for show. And it goes back to Wanda trying to, when she told Vision in the last episode, do you think I'm making everybody do everything? What it is, Wanda has the town, but she's only controlling the day-to-day lives, if you will, it feel like, of a certain radius. And so that's when we get to the point where, remember, when Billy and Tommy are running around and Tommy's basically doing the running, Wanda tells him, what do? Don't go to Ellis Street. Don't go past Ellis Street. We don't know what that is. So we go to Ellis. Eventually get to a point where Vision is walking around and he's not doing neighborhood watch. He's like, yo, he knows something's not right. He's still trying to figure it out. So he flies over, and then he sees that at certain points in the town, people are just there. There's one woman who's supposed to be hanging up a decoration, and she's on a loop in a glitch. So she's just doing this one thing, and she's crying. She's stuck in this loop, and she wants out. She's aware of her situation. We get to the point where Vision flies and he sees a car, and it's Agnes, and she's just stuck, and she's sitting there. And he's like, yo, where you going? She's like, I'm trying to figure out where the town square is, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, I got lost. He was like, you got lost in the town you grew up in? And he awakes her, as he's been able to do. And she was like, oh my God, you're one of the Avengers. And Vision says, what's an Avenger? Remember, previous episode, I don't remember my life before Westview. He doesn't remember him being a Vision. He doesn't remember him being part Jarvis, part Ultron. He doesn't remember getting his whole forehead region ripped the fuck out. So it speaks a lot. So now, again, all these questions are adding up. But here's where, when I said earlier, this episode talked about, it addressed a lot of theories we all have. The Agnes being Agatha Harkness. Now, I still believe that. I still believe that she's Agatha Harkness. I believe she's playing a role. And here's why. She did the whole, I'm stuck, I'm lost. Vision awakes her. She's like, oh my God, are you here? It was like, am I dead? And he's like, why? Because you're dead. What? And then she started with all is lost and blah, 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 and all these. And she starts cackling and everything, and he puts her back under. People are trying to say, some people are going to say that means that she actually is not Agatha Harkness. I think the exact opposite. I believe she is. I believe she's playing a role in all this. I believe she is that part of the thing. Now, the bigger part is we're hearing that, Agnes says about this is Wanda doing. And I think this is Wanda, just Wanda. But I don't think there's a major outside influence like we think it was. Again, it might be. But I don't believe it's Mephisto anymore. And here's why. And I didn't know this until a lot of people kept telling me. They can't use Mephisto in China. They can't use any iteration of anything that's the devil in China. Now, there are supposedly toy images, packaging that is leaked that shows Scarlet Witch and Mephisto. If that be the case, again, there's no saying that if this is real, if it is in Photoshop. But if China cannot use Mephisto, China cannot allow Mephisto, if Disney can't use them because Mephisto is the devil, then that changes. Then again, Nightmare can be used, goes back to the Dormammu situation, Baron Mordo, things like that, or Wanda as a whole. But I don't think Wanda's just the whole villain of this, given the fact she's one of the main villains going into Doctor Strange into the Multiverse of Madness, right? If that makes sense. I don't think that, I believe there is an outside influence. I don't think it's Agatha Harkness. I don't think that. Again, I like many other people have said in previous reviews, think it's Mephisto. But then after talking to a lot of people in the last review, they were like, yo, Disney can't use the devil in China. China's a major market. Let's just call it for what it is. They are going to make sure this WandaVision plays over there. So, like, okay, yo, we got. I think I know if you saw this. This is a spoiler review, so you've seen the episode already. Pardon me. Am I the only person who jumped like shit when they saw Ghost Pietro? When he was sitting next to her and letting them know he understands everything that it is, how it's, she created it, blah, 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 and trying to talk to her. That was another thing, trying to let you know, like, is Pietro who we think Pietro is? He was like, yo, how did you make all this? How did all this happen? And she's like, I don't know. And it's like he's pushing, but it's like he is somebody else, but he's not Pietro, but you can't tell exactly who. But, yo, we see the dead ghost version of Pietro shot to shit. I was like, fucking A. I jumped. But again, this is the swerve also. You see that version of Pietro, but that conversation that he has with her about how did this get created and etc. Now, people are bringing up the fact that Pietro calls the kids demon spawn. That people are like, oh, this could be Mephisto. He could be Nightmare. He could be somebody else because of them saying that. Yes, there is a possibility of that, but also, let's keep it a buck, ladies and gents. How many times have you seen kids as bad as hell? You be like, little demon spawn, little devil children. You say it just to say it. So it has a double entendre. It can be a double entendre in regards to the show, but we don't fully know yet. Again, we got 3 episodes left, and I think they playing a lot. We see Billy get his abilities when he hears Vision dying almost. And this is because Vision gets to the edge of town. Like I said, he saw Agnes. He keeps walks to the edge of the hex. And Vision wants to know what's on the other side. And Vision doesn't know. But we all watching know, like, fam, like, you walk through, you ain't gonna make it. And then they try to figure out, because again, S.W.O.R.D's been monitoring him, not Wanda. Which is crazy. Like, you would think S.W.O.R.D had been monitoring Wanda on the inside, because you find out that Hayward has figured out a way to see inside per se, or just monitor things, but he's been following Vision because, again, Vision is a vibranium synthezoid. If Vision was to hypothetically, again, the whole theory is if Vision figures out what's going on and how he was brought back, he might snap. You don't want that because Vision is too powerful. Well, Vision goes walking through the hex, and this motherfucker comes apart like a vampire in Blade in the daylight. And you see the pain, and that's like I said, when Billy hears his father, and, and Pietro says something like, oh, it ain't like your dead husband can die twice. When he said that, she blasted the fuck out of him. Again, you would think because it's Pietro, to her, no matter what, she'd protect him. But again, the most important thing to Wanda, no matter what, are the boys and Vision. And Vision being a part of that dying, and her being able to see that, this chick stops everybody and literally makes the hex expand further out to save Vision. Now, Darcy gets pulled in the process of this because she was trying to stop this earlier. Hayward kicked out her, Jimmy Woo, and Monica, and they were sneaking, and Jimmy Woo and Monica stole a Humvee because they're about to meet Monica's guy over the ridge, who we don't know, which that is the big surprise. So we know, again, her guy could be a girl. They always say that. So it's an aerospace engineer. So again, people are thinking Hank McCoy, but I think they shot down the mutant theory real quick when it was like, yo, I got shot up, things were fuzzy, now I'm here. So it wasn't the whole I was somewhere else and then I came here. So they kind of shot down mutants real quick. Not saying it still isn't a possibility, but they kind of shot it down. So no Hank McCoy. We all going Reed Richards, potentially, because S.W.O.R.D can be the reason the Fantastic Four go up, get their powers, blah, blah, blah. I am under the impression, I believe this, the Fantastic Four movie will be set in 1962, I believe it is, where they will be in space already. That will happen then. The end of the Fantastic Four movie for Marvel, by the end of that movie, the third act, they will go into the quantum realm or the negative zone, whichever, they can call it either or now. But they will be in that, and they will be the post-credit scene of maybe another movie or something will be them coming out of the quantum realm or the post-credit scene. Now, if that's a post-credit scene, I believe it's going to be in Ant-Man 3, which will set up their movie, which will be an origin story movie. So I don't think unless we get Reed Richards, who has been Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic. You get what hopefully I wasn't confusing anybody, because I'll damn near almost confused myself. So I don't think we're going to get an introduction to the Fantastic Four where we're going to have it where Reed's been doing this. I don't think. I mean, I guess I'm not going to say I don't think. I would personally rather see the 60s, the Baxter Building, all this. But again, the Baxter Building has to be built because of Spider-Man Far From Home. So, but it could be Reed Richards, and that's how, you know, they have a mission. S.W.O.R.D goes into space. S.W.O.R.D sends the four of them into space. Ben Grimm, Reed Richards, Sue Storm, and Johnny Storm. I don't know why I kept forgetting Johnny's name. I know people were looking at the video like, Johnny. I didn't get the abilities to come back, blah, blah, blah. Or it could be Adam Brashear. Adam Brashear would be the biggest pop for me and a lot of other fans. For those who don't know who that is, Adam Brashear is Blue Marvel, but he's also a black superhero. He's not well known. He's not highly put out there. Like, again, if you follow black superheroes, you know who he is. But he's never been on the screen like that to get this time. And so an Adam Brashear going into Captain Marvel 2 would be phenomenal. I didn't get a chance to do some research on what cataract is, because that's a project. So again, that's an eye, a seeing eye. What, you know, cataract is when people have like a phlegm, a gloss over their eyes and whatnot. And so wanting to see what that is, as opposed to who are the people. I am literally Googling this while I'm recording. Cataract Marvel. Cataract is one of the stages. Cataract. Yeah, these are everybody's spoilers. Okay, I think I might have found it. Cataract means it's about an eye, things like that. So we'll figure out it later. But I'll do some research on it later. Again, I watched this late at night. I didn't get a chance to do my research fully before I did this review. I wanted to make sure I got this up. But also the three men who were being contacted, when not being contacted, the three drop-down men whose names appear when Darcy is sending an email to Jimmy Woo. You have the names James Gadd, James J. Alexander, and James X. Seckler. So I'm going to check those out again. People may tell me in the comments right now, but I haven't had a chance to, so please forgive me for that. But overall, man, Director Hayward is going to fuck around and find out, playing with Wanda. I wonder, will he die at the end of this? Because I think he's acting director as of right now. You know, the beef with him and Monica, him trying to stop Wanda, Monica wanting to help Wanda, as well as Jimmy Woo. You know, they want to stop the Hex, but they want to help Wanda. I wonder, is Hayward going to die? Again, a lot of people thinking Hayward is just a dick or he's somebody else. But here's what I want to ask all of you all in the comments. Who is behind all this? Is it just Wanda? Is it just Wanda having a major mental breakdown? Remember, she said she felt an unwavering, just a non-ending feeling of sadness and loneliness. Everything in her life had been taken from her. Her family, her home, the love of her life. Which is how she ends to this point where she can potentially go crazy. Is this all just Wanda? Is this Dormammu, Baron Mordo? Possibly they find a way to maneuver it, make it Mephisto. Again, if they figure out a way to maneuver it where, again, if you do research, he's the devil, but if it's Mephisto, it's a nightmare. Is it somebody else or is it Wanda? That's what I wanted your thoughts. I want to get that conversation going down in the comments below. And while you're here, like the video, subscribe to the channel as well, and share it, y'all. I will holler at y'all next week. Be sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Mr. J Washington, MRJAY. You should know how to spell Washington. Check out the Mad Titan podcast everywhere you get your podcast from. I get you caught up on all the things happening in the Marvel and DC live action and cinematic universes. It's barbershop talk for nerds. Come on in the convo and check out Blurs in the Hood every Tuesday and Thursday live, 2 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. on the East Coast with myself and Winston A. Marshall over on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/BLERDS, the letter N, THEHOOD. We talk about pop culture, entertainment, politics, sports, news, and we all do it from a Blur's perspective, and we are unapologetically black. So make sure you check that, all right? I will holler at y'all next week for episode 7. It's getting closer. Oh, yeah. Real quick. If you follow me on Twitter and Instagram, after what we saw at the end of the previous episode, I tweeted this theory of what possibly Might happen at episode 9. What could if we? This was when we all had the mutant theory. It goes, Director Hayward, I have someone here who says they understand the Wanda phenomenon and would like to speak with you. Should I send them in? Director Hayward says, yes, thank you. Person says, what's your name again? And then the person just comes in and says, my name is Charles Xavier. Fade to black. Now, it's not Stewart. No, it's McAvoy. Look, the older people, I get we want them. I get we want Stewart. We want Sir Ian McClellan. But it would be McAvoy if we got it. Because I don't think we can't get that Charles, because it would make no sense. And this is not sounding, I know I just ended it, but this is like a post-credit almost. It would not make sense, and this is going to sound morbid, and I don't want it to, but it makes sense. It would not make sense to bring Patrick Stewart in as Charles Xavier, knowing he's older, and God forbid he passes right while you're trying to set something up. Then you have to switch to McAvoy. McAvoy's younger. Also, Stewart has Picard and a bunch of other stuff he's doing. I don't think he can give the time to do it. Just thought, something for thought, all right? Take care. I'm out. Bye.